Good morning, America. Good morning, Neshoba County. Let's hear it out there for some of you. So I got Andy to give me his P's. I need a little opportunity out there to get insurance rates right. Good morning. It's a pleasure to be back here in this hot, muggy, red sand. My great wife, lovely wife. Let everybody see you. Every year, I tell you, we celebrate a wedding anniversary just about the same time as a Neshoba County Fair. And this year, it'll be 57 years. 57 years. Can you believe anybody would put up with me for 57 years? All right, I didn't hear a word about that. All right. Look, insurance touches everybody's life. From the time you're born to the time you die, insurance is going to be something that affects your life between those two terms. Without insurance, there's no economic development. You just heard Andy Gibson talk about economic development. No project can be financed if you can't insure it. So banks will not finance it if you don't have insurance. As your commissioner, my job is to make certain that insurance is available, accountable, and affordable, which helps create jobs and protect consumers. In our consumer division, we handled over 13,000 phone calls and over 1,000 complaints this past year. And in the last decade, we have returned over $60 million straight to the consumers without going through any legislative process. Our licensing division issues over 750,000 licenses every year. That's almost as many driver's licenses we have in the state. We continue to regulate elevators, security alarms, LP gas inspections, bail agents, manufactured home installations. We work with county fire prevention and fire coordinators and public building inspectors. I'm also responsible for training and helping equip 13,000 plus career and volunteer firefighters in the state of Mississippi. These are the first responders. These are the people that put their life on the line to go save someone else after a catastrophic event, proclaimed to be the best first responding group in the nation. We will distribute over $20 million to these agencies, cities, and counties for the fire prevention program this year. This is from your fire rebate money. The Mississippi State Fire Academy is ranked as one of the best in the United States. I have today our new director over to my right, Kelly Elliott. Raise your hand, Kelly, let everybody see you. Great guy. This guy is wonderful. It's a bright spot in Mississippi where firefighters can receive the highest quality training they need to protect lives and to protect you and your property, including emergency medical response training. Work is completed on a new dormitory. We just completed it. People said, how will you use it? Been open 2 weeks. We housed 75 FEMA workers after the tornadoes in March. Put them in there. Probably paid for a third of the building for what it would have cost them to house them somewhere else. The facility provides space that we need to train folks. You know, our mission changes every year. We're going not only from fire prevention and fire suppression to emergency medical response. Think of it like this. The first person that you see if you have an emergency is usually a volunteer firefighter or a firefighter. And they need to know how to save your life. 90% of our calls, 85 to 90% of our calls and firefighters relate to emergency medical issues. As State Fire Marshal, I'm proud to say that we've also got a grant for 45,000 smoke alarms. Smoke alarms save lives. They were brought with grant money that we got from several different sources, including insurance companies. Smoke alarms save lives. If you don't have one, go get one and put it in your home. We remember 5 years ago here at the Neshoba County Fair when we spoke, we'd given a smoke alarm to a guy in an 18-wheeler. He had it in there, and he was smoking and caught his 18-wheeler on fire. It saved his life. Get a smoke alarm. It's real simple. Our Fire Marshal's Division, which is headed up by Connie Dolan. I know she's out in the Connie, wave it, folks. The first female deputy fire marshal in the state of Mississippi. That is a record. Connie, thank you for what you do. Why is she so important? Well, we work with Samaritan's Purse, a faith-based organization headed by Franklin Graham, who has given and delivering over 400 manufactured homes to Rolling Fork, Silver City, and Amory area for survivors of the March 2023 tornadoes. This is a potentially over $27 million in donations, not from the federal government, from faith-based organizations. That's what we ought to be doing. The MID staff and I keep a careful eye on the health insurance industry. Now, I had not planned to talk a lot about health insurance because it's so complicated, and I stay in a constant battle with some of the health folks, making them pay claims and do the right thing. We are constantly monitoring their claims payment procedures and how they treat healthcare providers in the state and our consumers in this great state. We have problems with the Medicare and Medicare Advantage plans, which we do not regulate. The federal government regulates those plans, but all the complaints come to our office. We're working on a plan with the federal government to try to solve some of those problems. So if you have questions about Medicare or any of the issues with health care, after the speeches are over behind this pavilion, we will have a group of our staff who are here today to answer questions if you have any questions. So you heard Andy Gibson talk about inflation and supply chain issues. Well, it affects everyone, not just poultry, not just agriculture products, but it also affects insurance. It hits every industry from groceries to the lumber yard. A couple of years ago, you could buy a 2x4 for 88 cents at the big box store or at your lumber yard. Today, that same 2x4 is over $3. Now, that's an 8-foot section of 2x4. These factors and a lot of other factors have doubled the cost of rebuilding a home or replacing a home after a catastrophic event like a tornado. And it's because of the cost of reinsurance. Reinsurance is spreading and selling all part of your risk that you have as an insurance company to someone else. Many factors affect reinsurance prices, including the war in Ukraine, threats of war by North Korea and China, natural disasters, and Washington politics. I recently met with the Wind Pool Reinsurance Committee. The Wind Pool writes insurance from the lower 6 counties because the commercial market tried to pull out, and we've been able to keep the economy going there. They were able to purchase $650+ million in reinsurance, which will probably cover just about any event that would hit the Gulf Coast. So rates have stayed level on the Gulf Coast for over 15 years. No rate increases except for some small ones next to the water. That's a big deal. You will not see that anywhere else in this country. To give consumers more choices and to find coverage, we continue to work and bring in more companies and encourage those that are here to stay. We're in much better shape than Florida or Louisiana, and that's due to good planning on our part. We've asked some companies, it's true, we've asked some companies to leave the state of Mississippi because we didn't think they were solvent, and they left, and we didn't have the catastrophic events that happened in Louisiana and Florida, where you had 12 companies went belly up or bankrupt and had to leave the state. The state of Louisiana, commissioner is a good friend of mine, and he said, Chaney, I had to give a 63% rate increase to our coastal citizens plan, and I'm not running again because you can't get elected when you give a rate increase like that, but I had to make a choice to do the right thing and not run for re-election, and I chose to do the right thing. We hope that doesn't happen to Mississippi. Florida's in the same boat. They have over 600,000 consumers who have lost coverage on their homes just because companies have become insolvent. Some companies have even closed down. Mississippi, by the way, on the good news side, became the second state to pass a pet insurance law. I know you're thinking about, what's he talking about? Well, pet insurance is a big deal. Several years ago, not several years, several months ago, I had lunch with Delbert Hoseman, and Delbert said, Commissioner, what's the biggest deal coming up for the legislative session? And I said, looked at him and I said, you're not going to believe this. It's pet insurance. It's pet insurance. We already sell pet insurance in the state of Mississippi, but we have no program that regulates pet insurance, and that's the biggest deal coming. The National Association of Commissioners say that's something we got to do. We became the second state, very little government regulation. We just protect the animals and the dogs. You know, you got to remember, a lot of people love their animals more than they do their fellow human beings. I don't say I do that, but I'm pretty close to it sometimes. I love my dog. And my wife, too. There's some more good news. Mississippi insurance producers age 65. If you're 65 and you got a license, you don't have to continue doing CE, continuing education, if you got 20 years of service. That's a good deal. Somebody told me from the Big I said that's the most popular piece of legislation the Big I has ever passed in the history of the Big I in the state of Mississippi. The Length of Service Award, what we call LOSAP, was passed with the help of the legislature, and I want to just commend the legislature. They have done very, very good yeoman work to protect the firefighters and first responders of this state. and it's been nonpartisan. That's something you ought to give them a big round of applause for. So what does the LoSAP bill do? It passed out, and it gives volunteer and career firefighters who have 20 years of service or more a retirement benefit. It's not a lot, but it's a lump sum payment. It's a pretty big deal. If you're a firefighter and you risk your life, you're usually a volunteer getting nothing, not being paid anything. This at least will help us retain and attract more volunteer firefighters. Now, I'm also responsible for the Rural Fire Truck Program. Since its inception in 1995, the state of Mississippi has paid out more than $57 million to help cities and counties to buy fire trucks, and it's estimated to have saved Mississippi, listen to this number, $1.9 billion since 1995. $1.9 billion. We do a good job in our mission. If my office can ever help you in any way, please reach out, and as always, I'm happy to assist you. Someone asked me, said, Chaney, what's your philosophy? And I said, it's the old JC Creed to some degree. We believe that faith in God gives meaning and purpose to human life, that the brotherhood of man transcends the sovereignty of nations, that economic justice can best be won by free men through free enterprise, that government should be of laws rather than of men, that earth's great treasures lie in human personality, and that service to humanity is the best work of life. And I truly believe that. May God bless each of us and our great state and these United States of America. Please vote August 8th.